Hi, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to show you a game by the name of Witch's Brew. This game is a simultaneous action selection card game where 3 to 5 players, 6 if you have an expansion, are going to be playing wizards and witches who are trying to brew the most potions by the end of the game. That will give them victory points. Whoever has the most victory points at the end will win. The game is for ages 9 and up, and it plays in about 45 minutes or so. I will take a moment to show you the rules of the game, and then I will come back here and give you my thoughts on it. Alright, so this is the 3-player setup of a game of Witch's Brew. The game plays to 5 in the base game, and with an expansion it will play up to 6. And each player is going to get a deck of 12 identical cards. They will get 2 gold, and they will get 3 ingredients, which are these wooden tiles, and they'll get 1 of each type. And then also there'll be a supply of gold, of vials over here, golden vials, here additional ingredients, and then there will be 2 decks of shelf cards, which will require a certain number of either gold or ingredients to brew, as shown on here, and they'll be worth a number of points at the end of the game if you do that. And then there are also these cauldrons, there's 3 sets of the cauldron piles, so you'll look at the color of the cauldron when playing your cards, and they have each different requirements. This would require 1 white ingredient, and they also are going to be worth points at the end of the game. Finally, there are these spell books, which will let you do special actions by playing a card. So for example, this one would let you take any 3 ingredients from the supply. This one will let you exchange 1 red ingredient for 2 vials, which will be victory points at the end of the game. Every vial that you collect will be 1 victory point. So the way that this game is going to work is that players are going to get this identical hand of 12 cards, and I'll just quickly go through them all. So this would be the Warlock. It allows you to use this spellbook as its special power if you are the only Warlock. If you are not the Warlock, you will be able to take 1 gold instead. I'll explain how those 2 actions work in a moment. So here, the cut purse, he lets you steal player's gold to try to buy 1 of these cards. Otherwise, his normal action is to just give up 1 fewer gold. And the begging monk functions similarly, except he will steal ingredients to build a card from this pile. And the special action similar, that he would give up 1 less ingredient, or the normal action rather. Then there are these 3 cards, which are essentially alchemists, and these 2 can convert resources into gold and gold into resources. Then the standard action for each is just a weaker version of the roll action. The fortune teller allows you to convert 1 gold into 2 vials, or 1 gold into 1 vial, depending on whether or not you actually assume the roll. And I'll explain how that assuming the roll works in a moment. These 3 cards are all the same. They just allow you to collect goods of the type that's shown on them. So essentially potion ingredients, and it depends if you're going to collect 3 or 1 based on whether or not you're able to claim the roll. So 3 white or 1 white, 3 green or 1 green, 3 red, 1 red. And finally, these last 3 cards, they allow you to brew a potion from a specific one of these 3 stacks of cards. So there's the bronze, the silver, and the black cauldron. And the weaker action on each is going to allow you to still brew the potion, but you'll also have to pay 2 gold on each of those cards. So the way that this game is going to work is that each player is going to play 5 of their cards. So for example, they'll just select 5 from all 12. So this player might try to get this and might want to brew a potion and might want to do that special action and so on. So each player will just select 5 cards. Let's just say this player selects these 5 and this player selects these 5. So they'll keep them secret, and then starting with the starting player, they have to declare 1 card and claim the roll. So this player, for example, might say, I'm the herb collector. And then you'll announce that I am the herb collector as the first player. You'll play that card down in front of you. And then if this player has the herb collector, which they don't, they would be able to challenge it, potentially. But they don't, so they would not do anything. This player also does not have the herb collector. They wouldn't be able to challenge it. So everyone would just allow this person to do the herb collector action, which would be take 3 of those tokens into their supply. So a more interesting example might be, let's see what cards we have here. All right, so next this player would say, I am the warlock, which would allow them to take advantage of this swap 3 ingredients card. If they did it, right, then this player here does have a warlock card. So they are forced with a choice. So this player would have to declare, I am the warlock. So this player could either say, no, I'm the warlock, and play the card down in hopes of getting that top action, or they could say, so be it, and just play, discard the card out and immediately take this action here, which is the weaker action. So just the 1 gold. So if they said, so be it, they would just collect 1 gold. But if they said, no, I am the warlock, this person would discard their card, not get to do any action at all, because they were disproven as the warlock. This player would say, I'm the warlock. And now if this player had the warlock, they would potentially be able to knock that player's action out or choose so be it. So this player does not have the warlock, so this player would be the warlock. They would then get to take 3 ingredients from the supply as shown on the card. So let's just say they take 1 of each. And now since this person won the roll, they will lead the next card. So they might want to try brewing a potion. And it'll go like this around and around. So this player, for example, might say, I'm the druid, who allows him to brew a potion from this cauldron. This player does not have the druid, so they'd say, I guess you're the druid. And then this player over here, they don't have the druid card. So this player would then be able to perform the action to just turn in 1 green resource, as shown on this card, for 2 points. So they would just discard that card out, turn in their green resource, take that card, and they'd be able to just put it face down in front of them. Those will be points that they'll score at the end of the game. If ever, you are required to respond if the card type is declared, and you could, like I said, you could respond and say, no, I'm the begging monk, if this was the card, for example, or you could say, so be it, but you cannot hold on to that card. And the game will just keep going. Let's say this player plays all of their cards and has the first player would go back to this player normally, but since they have no cards, it would just rotate to this player, and then things would go on like that until all players have played all of their cards. And then after that, players will get the 5 cards they've played back. They would choose another 5 cards from the set of 12, and a new round would play out. So this is just going to keep going with people acquiring either these potion cards or these bookshelf cards or vials. Those are the 3 routes to victory points, until some of these cards here, and they're down in the deck a little bit, usually around here. Yep. So some of these cards, you'll note, have ravens on it. If ever you brewed a potion with a raven on it, instead of putting it face down, you have to keep it face up, because once collectively across the board 4 ravens are visible in the player's areas, that would end the game at the end of that round. You will add up the points on the cards that you've collected, both the cauldron cards and the bookshelf cards, plus 1 point for each vial that you've collected. Whoever has the most points would be the winner. And then the tie, in the case of a tie, would be whoever has the most total combined of these potion drops and gold. That's the tiebreaker. Otherwise, it's just going to be the victory points from the vials and the cards. And that's how you play Witch's Brew. Okay, so that is Witch's Brew. This is a very fun game that I've played with many, many groups of people, and it's always gone over really well. When you first try to explain it to people, it might seem a little daunting to some people to have 12 different cards to pick from. But really after a round or two, it becomes very obvious what all those cards will be able to do and what the goal is, just basically collecting resources to convert into victory points, whether you're going to be brewing potions or, brewing those cauldrons, or just outright collecting vials. Essentially, this is a game because it's simultaneous action selection where you generally want to be doing what the other players aren't doing. So trying to read your opponent's intentions is really important. I didn't note in the rules explanations, but the number of resources that you have available, not your vials, I think those could be hidden, but your drops that you have in your gold are open information. So you could look and see if people have enough drops to claim the next card. And these cards, which I don't think I really showed you, do get pretty expensive. You can see sometimes you'll need like 5 specific drops to claim a card near the end of the game. So if somebody has those 5 drops in front of them, you might have a pretty good sense of what they're going to be trying to do the next turn. And you might want to plan your move accordingly, either to try to block them by picking the same card or by trying to go in a different direction and pick a different card. So that's really interesting. And as is the way that the first player mechanism works. Being first is the worst in this game because you have the biggest chance of somebody vetoing your special power by claiming the action as well. Whereas if you're last, you could always be assured that if somebody plays a card, you could play the same card and get the full action. So trying to balance that out. And then when you're first player, what card do you lead with? Do you play with something that is a lesser action in hopes of getting back into last place and getting a better action later? Sometimes that's a really good strategy. So there's a lot going on in the game in terms of reading the other players and responding correctly. I will say that the game is currently, I believe, out of print. It's in print in Germany, I believe, and maybe some other languages, maybe French, but you would have to do card paste ups or sleeve your cards and stick translations in there, or just play with a group enough that they know what the cards do without needing to read the text on them. There are symbols on the card as well, just to show you. So once the rules are explained, people will have a sense of what the cards do. Or I suppose you could find a used copy. And I feel like I should also mention that a similar game from the same publisher and with a very similar theme and similar mechanisms by the name of Broom Service, and this is Broom Service, came out, I believe it was last year, 2015. And this is a really similar game, also 2 to 5 players, also has a simultaneous action selection mechanism. The big catch in this game is that, as you can see on the back of the box, is that it also has a board where players will be moving tokens around. And that's how they'll be scoring their points, as opposed to just turning in resources to get points. This is a pretty different game. Although it's similar in a lot of ways, in a lot of mechanisms, it does play differently. For one thing, it's a little bit more complicated, especially on the more complex side of the two-sided board in that. And also it takes longer, whereas you could play Witch's Brew comfortably in 45 minutes. Broom Service might take more like an hour or so. So Witch's Brew still has a place in my collection, even though I have Broom Service. It's one that's worth tracking down, and it's one of those games that I feel like every player should try at least once. It's something that I would just highly recommend. So I guess I'll leave it there and say those are my thoughts on Witch's Brew, and thank you for watching.